Hello again on this Wednesday. Greetings from the Seward United Methodist Courtyard. It is a beautiful fall day. I'm Mary Kay Toddy, the lead pastor here at Seward United Methodist Church, and as always, it is my delight to share with you a few thoughts here midweek devotions, if you will. Last week, I talked to you about my definition of grace. We talked about how grace is unmerited mercy imbued with a genuine compassion for the other's well-being. And last Sunday, I started a 3-part sermon series, story sermons, that help us understand John Wesley's understanding of grace. And John Wesley thought of grace in terms of prevenient grace, justifying grace, and sanctifying grace. So the first Sunday was on prevenient grace, and we talked about how prevenient grace is the grace that comes before, the grace that is already present before we are even aware of it, before we are even aware of God. And one of the images I like for prevenient grace is kind of how an aroma or a smell comes to us unbidden, and it's already there, and suddenly we become aware of it. And that's kind of how prevenient grace is. It's already there, and then we become aware of it. Now, justifying grace, which the sermon will cover this week, justifying grace is that grace that shows up when we are in the midst of becoming aware of our own brokenness, our own failures, our own sinfulness, and just how inadequate we are to save our own selves. And justifying grace kind of shows up in that moment and holds us and offers us the reassurance of forgiveness and redemption and a way forward. So that's what we will be covering in the story sermon this Sunday as we look at justifying grace. Sometimes with justifying grace, folks think of that as kind of the turning point in their faith journey, or even the start of their faith journey. They have some type of significant experience that turns them toward God, kind of like Paul on the road to Damascus. For others, though, the faith journey is more of a steady climb. And so particularly people who grow up in the church, it's hard to kind of point to a dramatic pinpoint moment where suddenly they feel saved, but rather it's just a deepening understanding that God loves them and God saves them. And John Wesley experienced something similar. He never necessarily had one of those Paul on the road to Damascus experiences or Moses at the burning bush, but he did come to a point in his faith journey where he became aware that he had a deep reassurance in his soul that God did love him and that he was saved by grace. And that's what justifying grace is. When we come to that point of realizing no matter how flawed or broken or sinful or how difficult life has become or how much we have messed up, God still loves us, and God still saves us, and God still longs for our well-being. So that's what justifying grace is about, and I hope y'all will show up or tune in on Sunday to hear the next story in this sermon series, Grace Abounds, to learn a little more about justifying grace and how it can be at work in our lives. Y'all have a good week. Take care.